Well, let's get into sharing some screens on how I load the master spreadsheet.
Well, let's do a bit of an intro first. Say, hi, this is Tony, and this is what I'm going to do.
What he said. And it's good night from him, and it's good night from me. Hello, this is Tony, and we're just going to record how I would download from Stock Doctor using my filters and how the new master spreadsheet works, because I know it's complicated. Funnily enough, it was designed to be simpler, but it's a complicated spreadsheet. And I'm trying to automate most of the processes now.
Right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Tony, on behalf of everyone for your efforts.
Let me share Stock Doctor to start off with.
Like a podium.
Okay, hang on. So I'm going to make some changes now to go into stock filters. So just let me. All right. Well, my stock filter is called Market Cap Price Cash Flow QAV filter.
Wow. I thought you used to be in marketing, and that was the name you came up with it?
Well, it's evolved. It used to be other filters I built on.
Can't just be QAV filter?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can edit the name.
Yeah, you can. I'll teach you how to do that later.
Okay. All right. So I'm scrolling through my filter now. So we're looking at any sort of equity, any sort of daily trade, because I want these results in my spreadsheet so I can do filters on them rather than do them in the Stock Doctor.
Right.
Filter. Average daily trade, any or greater than 0, EPS before abnormals, EPS after abnormals. I just include both of those to see if there's much of a difference when I'm doing my analysis.
Right.
EPS forecast year 1, trading status is trading, so it's not a delisted stock. Share price, price to consensus target, price to Lincoln valuation, which we'll use, market cap, net operating cash flow. So I've been downloading that and calculating it in the spreadsheet to see if there's much of a difference, and there hasn't appeared to be much so far. Free cash flow, again, doing the same with that. Star stock status, I've selected all of them. So I've checked all there. Shares outstanding, any. Dividend yield, any. Financial health rating, I've selected all of them. Financial health trend, the same. SD Max status, director's holdings, CEO, MD, and chairman's holdings. Any return on equity, any price to cash flow, any PE, any net tangible assets. Again, I'm comparing that to our equity per share. Price change 5 years, price change 6 months, and financial health trend. So they're all the filters I'm using. I will then click run. And that's giving me quite a big output of 570 records. I'm then going to save that to a CSV file. Now you should be seeing my Finder window in there. And if I go into
Flemington unders, Randwick unders, Eagle Farm unders.
Yes, well,
I can see where you're spending all your time. Yeah.
It's Monday. It's after the weekend of punting. So I go into downloads. I go into, that's the CSV we just downloaded, market cap price, cash flow, QAV filter.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open it. And there it is. Okay, so that's the download. Now, again, tell me if I lose you, but I'm going to jump into my master spreadsheet. And the first thing I'll do is do a backup of the past download. So selecting all in the QAV download data tab. I'm going to copy it all, Control C. I'm going to go into backup of last download tab, and I'm going to just copy all that data into there. And I'm just doing that in case something happens when I copy in the new data, like a formula's not returning a number or whatever. I can go back and debug. But now what I do is I'm going to go into, I think the important thing here is, I think I'll have to remove the freeze and the panes so I can go up to the top of the spreadsheet there. Then I'm going to go into my downloaded file again. This is the CSV file. I'm going to select everything. And what I want to do, sorry, rather than select everything, I'm going to select everything up to the row it downloaded, because there are rows in my spreadsheet which do calculations past that. So row AD, I'm going to select all of that, go down to the end. I'm just tabbing down here while I'm selecting. I'm going to copy all that data, go back into my spreadsheet and copy that in. And then I'm going to just scroll down a bit here. I'm going to lock in those frames again. And I'm going to lock them in at the names there. So window, freeze panes. Nope, did that wrong. I'm going to unfreeze it. I'm going to go down the line so I get the headings. Window, freeze panes. There we go. And now what I'll do is I'll do a sort on that. Okay, so I'm going to select all those columns, go right across the entire spreadsheet, down to the end, and then scroll down to the bottom, selecting all of those. I'm going to do a sort first of all. There's some red shading there left over from the last download, which we'll fix in a minute. And looks like there's also some data there, so I'll get rid of that in a minute too. I'll do a sort first. So here I'm just simply sorting on I have headers, price to operating cash flow, smallest to largest.
Right.
So I do that. I then will have a look at where we cut it off at 7. So where's my price to cash flow? It was column AG there. So I will go down to where we hit the limit. We're interested in shares that are below 7. So that's my limit. I'm going to go down and make those red, so I know that if I look up a stock in the future and it's red, it's got a high price to cash flow.
Right.
I won't go any further. I'll need to get rid of those ones too, so I do that. That's just in here, the shading. I'll make it red. I'll just get rid of that. There's some, looks like there's some lines left over from last time, so I'll get rid of those from the last download. Okay, so we're set up now. Now, so we start, if I scroll across to the right, and I'm just going to tab across there, which is a bit quicker than, well, actually what I'll do is just to neaten this up, I'll make all those clear. I'll just clear out that red shading, which is left over, just to neaten things up. I'll make that clear, no fill. All right. Now, the first thing that I'll do is I'll look for the sentiment check. So the sentiment, if you recall, is checking for stocks that either have a bullish SD max or a positive 5-year price change or a positive 6-month price change and a positive 6-month price change. And I in this column here, I'll write the word uptrend if that test is passed. And the first one is SIV. So at the moment, this column here to the right is where I confirm the sentiment. So sometimes the uptrend can be a false positive, and sometimes it can be the real thing. So I need to go in and confirm it.
So just to be clear, Tony, so that cell in CO, that's code. There's a formula behind that.
Yeah.
It's looking at the stock doctor data.
Correct. If you look at, it's referring to column AI34. So if I go back to AI34, it's running all those tests I just talked about using if-then statements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So AI34.
So it's pre-populated with the result.
Correct. Yeah. So it says uptrend, and it's looking at, where are we now? It's looking at BF34. Where are we? BF34. There's probably a bit of redundancy in the spreadsheet because it's grown as I've evolved. But yeah, so there are all the checks on the stock doctor filter. So is SD max bullish? is it a positive 5-year price change? Is the 5-year price change blank because it could be a new stock? Is the 6-month price change positive? Then it goes through and combines those. Do we have both 5-year and 6 months change positives? Is SD Max bullish? So I add those together. It's a buy if that's the case. And then I'm looking for a 1 in that column there. And then if I see that, I write uptrend, which is down the end here. Yeah. So that's my first check. So SIV is blank. I'll go and look at Stock Doctor SIV. So I haven't confirmed the sentiment yet. So I may lose you. So let me know if I have. I'll go and share this new screen. I'm back in Stock Doctor. We can see it. You can see it? Okay,
yeah, cool. I can see it. Yeah.
All right, good. So I'm back in Stock Doctor. I'm looking at SIV Capital. And yeah, that's pretty close, isn't it? I mean, what I would do with this now is I go into my 3-point trend line calculator spreadsheet. Yep. And I may have already done that for SIV, so I'll do a quick search. I have back in May, so I'll update that. So it's now June 8. So June 08. And I think the H1 and H2 should stay the same. So the high point, can you see that, Cam, on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the high point back here is $11.46.2 in September 16. 11.46 September 16. Second high point is probably going to be this one, which is November 17 at 8.28. I'll just have a look at that. Yep. And so we're saying it's a buy based on all of that at $1 or 1.278. It's very precise, I know. And so this is still showing it's the stock is at 70 cents, so it hasn't reached its buy point yet. So then I would go back into my master spreadsheet, and what I do is I enter, for things I'm going to enter manually, I put them in a separate tab, which just means there's no danger of overwriting them with a download. It shouldn't be overwritten, but sometimes I've had messy problems where the download has overwritten some of the manual entries. So I just keep it in a separate spreadsheet now, separate tab, sorry. So if I Google on SIV, search on SIV, the first column I've got here is sentiment confirmed, and I'll put no in there. I'll go back to my QAV download data. Oh, I've got a copy. Sorry, just one thing that needs to be done is I need to copy that particular cell there, which looks up. It does a V lookup on the manually entered scores in the next tab. So some of these cells don't have that in. I'll just go through and copy those down now. That was an oversight. I'm going to copy all those in. Okay. So we have a no for SIV. So then I go down the list. I start off just looking at the uptrends because they're the easiest ones to work with, and it gives me a small number to work with. Apollo Tourism.
So sorry, but before we move on too much, Tony, so your formula for SIV, looking at the SD Max, its price change metrics, etc., said it was an uptrend, but it's not in an uptrend. So why the difference there?
Yeah, I can see. Well, okay, let's have a look at back on the Stock Doctor screen. I'm going to look at SD Max, and SD Max. It's just become bullish in SD Max. So you can see it's just turned up in the last month or so. So probably since the last time I did this download into my spreadsheet, it's become a bullish on SD Max. So that's why it's showing as an uptrend in Stock Doctor.
Right.
And if I use, in Stock Doctor, if you recall, SD Max is a 2-year graph. So if I use a 2-year graph, yeah, sure, the high points here, next high points there. So the buy line's going to be around here somewhere.
Yeah,
so
right.
Even the 3-point trend line would probably be in an uptrend using a 2-year graph, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use the 5-year.
Right. I see. Okay, thanks.
So I'll just go back and put that to a 5-year. Yeah, so that sometimes happens. Okay, so going back to this one, the next one was our old friend Apollo Tourism and Leisure. So last time I did this download, I said it wasn't in an uptrend, but it may be worthwhile going back and checking.
We're contractually prevented from ever buying Apollo Tourism again. As you know, we've sworn affidavits to that effect.
Oh, it's getting close, isn't it?
No, it's not.
I did read an article in the Fin on the weekend saying that an investment banker was pushing the line that Apollo Tourism and Leisure was going to be a tourism roll-up. So it was going to be either an acquirer or acquired by other tourism companies.
Repeat after me. My name's Tony and I'm an Apolloholic. I promise the first buy is just don't buy it. Just, if you don't buy it once, you won't have to buy it again the next. Sell it a week later.
Yeah. True. Anyway, the uptrend's still a no, so I'll leave it there. Going down the list, we've got Horizon Oil, another one of our old friends. If I look at Horizon Oil, what have we got? Horizon. Nope, nowhere near a buy. So that's still in the downtrend. And I can see that just looking at it. High point. It's going to be a buy around 13 cents or so. Anyway, so I'm going to, without going through all these line by line, I'm going to go down each of these and look for the uptrends and then confirm them as either yes or no's.
The fact that the Stock Doctor data points are giving us an uptrend and that doesn't match, does it also follow that if they give us a downtrend, it may also not match?
It does. So there is a fair bit of work to do after that to go through and have a look at some of these other ones. And that's the more time-consuming task, I guess, is to look at AIS and see whether it really is an uptrend or a downtrend, even though Stock Doctor is saying it's a downtrend.
But you start with the uptrends.
I start with the uptrends because that is the quickest way of doing it. And that still gives us, a nice workable number of 15 to 20 stocks to work with.
Right.
Yeah. And then over time, as I've got spare time or whatever, or sometimes I just wait until I look at those 52-week highs in the AFR or whatever, I can go through and look at the other ones. Right. But the next stage from this is I'm going to do a watch list. So there's my watch list as it currently exists. So what I do is I go back into my downloaded data. I'm just going to copy all that across. I'll probably just, so we don't have these overwrites again, I'll probably just start with the data. So SIV in line 34, row 34. Just so I don't get those headings overwritten again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll scroll across to the right. And I'll take all these. There's probably not much point going into the ones below that. Mm-hmm. A couple of the ones in the price to cash flow of sevens might have a score for us, but so you've got an uptrend down here at what's that one? Rio and MSG. So I would come back and look at those, but for the moment, I'll just copy this across to the watch list. So I'll go to the first line in the watch list, which is there. I'll copy that data in, and then I'm going to do a data sort on that data. And you can see the sort, the last sort has been wiped. So what I'm going to do is I've put another tab in here called sort criteria for the watch list, and there are my sort criteria. So in the watch list, I want to sort by qualified audit, sentiment confirmed, and QAV score. So if I go back into the watch list, I'm going to sort by, I'll just check those so I get them right. No, I can't do it.
Qualified audit, sentiment confirmed, and QAV score.
Yeah. Qualified audit, data, sort. Okay. Yep. I'm going to cancel that and put the header rows in. It'll make it easier. So I'm just doing another selection of data, but I'll use the header rows, which will make our sorting easier. What's going on here? I think I've lost stuff, have I? No, there it is.
No, you've just got too much color coding gone across.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll select all this data. Again, the color coding I think is old. It's in there at the moment. Yeah. Okay, let's see how good my memory is. Sort by, no, I need to put my list has headers in there. Column is, I'll go down to the end, sentiment confirmed.
Qualified audit, I think you were starting with before. Does it matter?
Thank you. No, we should do it first. Yep, you're right. And then if I go down here and press plus, I can then do sentiment confirmed. And then what was our last one, do you recall?
QAV score.
Thank you. QAV score. Smallest to largest. I think I'll leave it there for the moment. So we do our sort, and then what we should have those which have a qualified audit coming first, but it doesn't look like it's the case. So I may have got them in the wrong order. Qualified audit 0. I know what the problem is here, I think. Let me just see. BN13. Let me just. So we've obviously got some bugs in this still. VLOOKUP A13. No, that's right. It should be. We should see. I think the sort's done incorrectly. The no should come first.
Right. So it's just the sort criteria is upside down.
Yeah. Actually, the yeses should come first. I think you're right. We'll do the sort again with the different sort criteria.
So for the people out there who email me and say, I'm not very good with Excel, I'm the Channel 9 sports reporter, you've got to be pretty handy with Excel.
Yeah, I think
like what I've been saying to people is like, okay, well, it might take you a year. Do a crash course on Excel. Learn how to use the basics of Excel. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve, but there's a learning curve with all of this stuff. If you're not financially literate, Excel might be part of the learning curve, but you'll work it out in a year, and then for the rest of your life, you'll be able to do this.
Yeah. I'm just going to change all the sort because they're in the reverse order. Okay. So now, after a bit of mucking around, we've got the list we want. And I'll just go over to the right-hand column so we can see the criteria. Okay, so we have, first of all, we have 3 companies which we found qualified audits for. Zimplat's, SIV and Energy World.
And again, we've found no easy way of doing that. We have to go to their website or somewhere where we can get their last financial reports and go scrolling through it looking for the words audit.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Let me just go. Can you see it online now?
Yes.
You see SIV. So in Stock Doctor, I'm going to go down to the announcements part, and half-yearly report and accounts is there. I'm going to download the full announcement, and that's opening. And then the auditor's report is usually at the end. So we'll go down to the bottom, and then we'll go up. Here we go. So there's the auditor's report. It should be at the end of the auditor's report. Oh, look at this. KPMG signed the audit report. Isn't that good of them? Okay, where are we?
It's Mr.
Conclusion.
KPMG signed.
Yeah. We're looking at the conclusion. We have reviewed the company's consolidated interim financial report of SIV Capital. Based on our review, which is not an audit, we have not become aware of any matter that makes us believe the consolidated financial report is not in accordance with the Corporations Act. So that's the standard boilerplate which says there's no qualified audit on that. So it makes me wonder why I've got SIV up here as saying that has got a qualified audit.
Makes me wonder that too.
Let me go back into manually entered scores.
Is it a Negroni issue?
Could be. I'll take it out.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just redo that sort. So after I do this sort, I'll go in and show you a qualified audit that does, a company that does have a qualified audit, and you can see what that looks like as well. Okay, tab down, data sort. we don't change the criterion, and SIV goes away. So if I have a look at Zimplatz, our old friend, we go back into that, close it down, ZIM, and go down here. And we can't see the half-yearly report there, so I will go into the announcements part of Stock Doctor. I'm going to deselect everything because for some reason they don't say that an audit report is a price-sensitive piece of announcement, which I think is rubbish. But anyway, now what I'm looking for is the half-yearly. Oh, okay. So in this case, the half-yearly is the annual report. So I'll have a look at the annual report. And we want the audits report again. Okay, we get the pretty pictures at the front. Okay, so an annual report may have some other stuff at the end, but here's the auditors. In this case, Ernst & Young. And what's all this? Global Reporting Initiative. Let's go down to where that Ernst & Young was. Our conclusion, there we go. Based on the procedures we have performed and the evidence we have obtained, nothing has come to our attention that calls us to believe that the selected. Okay, so that says it's not a qualified audit. Where are we? There's a whole list of information here. This is a different format, I think, to the ASX normally one because it's operating overseas. But there should be something in here which was about the qualified nature.
Can you do a Control F and search for the word qualified?
Yep.
Does that work in an online PDF?
It should, but it's not finding it.
Huh.
Oops. Let me go down and find that audit report again.
Now you're searching extra hard here because we know that they have one, but
yeah, that's right. It should be here quite in black. It should be in black and white here.
If you didn't know it had one already and you just did this quick search, you wouldn't have found anything.
Correct. So I'm wondering whether there's definitely another announcement about it in Zimplat's case, but I'm wondering whether there's also another, oh, here we go, the half-yearly accounts. Maybe it's in the half-yearly accounts. I went back to the annual report. Sorry, may have gone back too far. Let's look at the half-yearly. Okay. We will skip the miners holding hands.
Oh, holding hands. Oh, that's so lovely. I want to invest in that company. They all hold hands at work all day. It's lovely.
Yeah. Okay, where is it? Notes the consolidated statements should be at the end, but it's not. So I'm going to do a search on auditors. Oh, it's up the front this time. Page 8. 3, 4, 5, 6. Was that it? Here we go. Deloitte this time. Scope of review. Basis for qualified conclusion. So there we go. It goes on to say why it's a qualified conclusion. Talks about the annual report being audited by another auditor. Talks about the reason for it. The group transacted using a combination of US dollars, bonds, notes and coins, real-time gross settlement system, etc., etc. Goes into the reasons why it's a qualified audit. basis for our qualified conclusion, qualified conclusions based on our review, etc., etc.
It was signed by Mr. Deloitte and Mr. Touche.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, so we don't want to see that. We don't want to see a qualified conclusion.
Right.
So that's what it looks like. Okay, so let me go back to our spreadsheet. So what I'll do is I would, let me get across to the right. So my watch list now has 2 companies with qualified audits in it. I'll just shade them red. So do not touch. And then we have in the next rows, we have companies without a qualified audit that have sentiment confirmed and have a high QAV score from, in this case, 0.8 down to the 0.1s.
Right.
And I'll color code those. For some reason, I keep color coding these green in Excel, but when I come back to them, they're yellow. So I don't know what's going on there. Too many. Let me just go back across to the right so I can see the scores. Okay, so they're my greens. They're the ones that I'm saying are buys on our watch list. So they're greens. And then the ones below them are next off the rank. So first of all, we have those which have a score just below 0.1, but still have positive sentiment, and I'll make those the yellows. Yeah, and so what I do from there is I will gradually go through my list of stocks that were below the price to cash flow we were after and check for uptrends, even though that the stock doctor was saying downtrend.
Right.
That's a bigger job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But certainly you have enough in that watch list now to start buying for your portfolio from.
Right.
Okay, and that's pretty much it, Cam.
Wow.
So I know that you need to be pretty, used to Excel, but hopefully, it's as much automated as it could be. Oh, sorry, one more thing to go into, which is the non-automated section. So if I go back to manually entered scores, happens to be open at, let's say, Sigma Healthcare here. These are columns which we don't have a way of downloading them, and they come from either Stock Doctor or Share Analysis. So I will manually open Share Analysis, look for Sigma Healthcare, check its A1, B2 score, and put the answer in here. 0 for no, or 1 if it is A1, B2. Is the price less than the Share Analysis IV? Is the Share Analysis IV increasing? And then there's a couple of things in Stock Doctor which we can't download via filters, like is it the lowest P in the last 6? Is it a new 3-point upturn? And is the equity increasing consistently? And I'll put those in there.
What I've been telling people in the latest version of the Getting Started guide and in emails, etc., is, listen, if you're new to QAV, I recommend you use the basic version of the checklist that I developed, the individual stock version that I have online, where you can just do it one at a time until you get very familiar with the data, what the data means, what the process is. And then, you may want to move to a more intermediate version. But your version is for people, I think, that have been around a while. They understand the process, they understand the data, they understand Stock Doctor, and they just want to be able to analyze hundreds of companies very quickly. It's the advanced version.
Yeah, no, that's right. Exactly. So what I've attempted to do is to try and automate it as much as possible. So this is quicker than doing that line by line on the original QAV checklist. And I'm hoping that we can hand it over to someone who's good at coding to come up with almost a black box solution for us that we can then make available to people as well.
Yeah, we've got someone who wants to work with us on that. So hopefully we'll make some progress. But the 2 things I'd point out to people watching this right now is this is the advanced version. And if you're not ready, if that makes your head hurt, don't try that at home without supervision of professionals. Secondly, even in that instance, don't trust Tony's work. Tony may have made mistakes in that. We're not selling this with a Boeing guarantee here that it's not going to fall out of the sky. Just trying to think of a good guarantee. I don't know what it is.
A Boeing guarantee. This is not the SD Max version of the spreadsheet. No, what was it called? What was the Boeing thing called? Was it also called SD Max, the one that fell out of the sky?
I don't know.
737 SD Max? I think it was.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, if so, Stock Doctor might want to change their branding. My point is that what we're providing here is examples of how Tony does it and his spreadsheet and his work. Don't pick this up and think it's roadworthy. This, you need to do your own work behind this, because I haven't gone through and verified Tony's formulas and his scores. There may be human error in there.
Yep.
Human error in Excel, I know, because I had a client last year for my marketing stuff that were building an app that was sort of to replace checklists for a lot of high-end mining applications. And, they showed me all the data on errors in Excel.
Right.
There's like human error rates in Excel, even for people that are professional Excel gurus and do it all day long to build business models, are high because human error, fatigue, staring at a screen, it's a complicated tool, all that kind of stuff.
And there might also be bugs in this too, Cam, I hasten to add. So I've debugged it as much as I can, but it's very much a beta version.
Yeah. So use it as the basis for your own tool, I guess is what I'm saying. But don't pick it up and expect it to be 100% correct, because that would be foolish.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So what I would do if I was one of our listeners is run everything if you can, if you feel like you're up to it. Create your own watch list, but then go through and look at those in more detail before you push the button on buying something. Just go back and maybe check it manually. It won't take too long.
Test it, verify.
Yeah,
trust,
exactly. Yeah,
but verify, as Ronald Reagan said.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And something's going, oh, you know what? There's the first error for a start. I don't think we've put gear in here, the ETFs. So I'm going to go back and look at Stock Doctor. Go back into my filters and call up the QAV filter. Oh no, it's got includes unclassified. So for some reason, GEAR isn't there. I don't think. Let me just do a search.
Showing up.
No. So I don't know why that's dropped out, but it was there in the last version.
Well,
so I'll have to go and investigate that.
Yeah. Anyway.
But that's a good example, right?
Yeah. So, use this as the basis for your thinking. Tony's done a lot of work to give you a massive head start, but, build your own model based on this, or at least go through and verify the formulas in his model before you trust it 100%. If you're capable of doing that, and if you're not that skilled with Excel, you probably shouldn't be using this right now.
Right. Go back to the basic one.
Yeah. Use your own version. These are tools to help you in your thinking, not a black box that you can just pick up and drive at 120 kilometers down the highway.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I'd like us to get to a black box. I think that would be useful for new people to see the output. But I still like the idea of it being a step-by-step thing that people do in Excel or on paper or whatever, so they get to learn. And then learn and modify.
That's what I recommend in the Bible. Yes, is the reason I built my own spreadsheet when we started this, and not just take yours. Well, I couldn't understand yours. It was like reading hieroglyphics on a pyramid, but back then. But B, I knew that the best way to learn something is to build my own step by step, right? Engage the brain, so I could be really sure that I wasn't just parroting your work, but I understood the basis underneath it, the code underneath it, and what it meant. Yeah.
But look, there's, once you do get to learn that, this is a shortcut way of doing it, just like Stock Doctor is a shortcut way of gathering the data from company reports. So it does have some benefits because you can do things quickly.
And, we've got a lot of smart people in QAV Club that will debug and pick up mistakes if there are any in your spreadsheet. Guys and girls like Daryl, who does a great job at looking at these things. So, and please, if you do find bugs in it, let us know and we'll correct them as we go.
Yeah, good.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay.
Good work.
All right, mate.
Go back to the unders, the Randwick unders.
Yes. It wasn't all that profitable this week. We had a horse run on Saturday too, which didn't run that well. So bit of a dud loss this weekend.
Oh, well.
but normally pretty good.
Good thing you're not relying on that for your lifestyle.
No, it's the other way around. The QAV funds the horses. All right.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.
Ciao.
Bye.